regime in the country. Mbongeni Ngema joins us now from our Durban studio to share and remember the late Madiba. A very good morning to you, Babu Ngema. This movie at the time was unprecedented. Tell us a bit about the times in which you were making Sarafina.
Well, Sarafina was made at a very special time. It was way back in 1986 when I started producing the play at the Market Theatre, when the country was in flames, when actually it was only a year after P.W. Porter's speech of crossing the Rubicon. In Durban at the time, when there was no hope for the country. It was at a time that when I got the inspiration to write the play, and it was then produced at the Market Theatre, and then very quickly it was then moved to the United States at the Lincoln Center Theatre for a short season. But then it was overwhelmingly successful. The producer spoke to me and we agreed to move it to Broadway, where it caught the attention of the world. It was at that time, while it was still running on Broadway, that Anand Singh came to me and proposed that we make a movie of the play Sarafina. Madiba was still in prison at that time. Sarafina continued until 1991, when Madiba came out of prison and the whole world was celebrating his return. Just like we had plotted in the play, in the grand finale of the play, we had Leleti, who was playing Madiba, coming out as Madiba, walking out of prison as a free man, saying that let us all reconcile and build a better South Africa for all. It was that particular scene that caught the attention of the world, amongst other scenes. And that scene was also featured in the movie. Indeed, Madiba came out of prison, and it was though I had predicted, he repeated exactly the same words, and the rest was history. We made the movie when Madiba was out of prison, and he actually saw the opening of the movie himself in South Africa.
It is almost as if it was very prophetic, but it was a bold and daring attempt during those times. Tell us a bit about perhaps the challenges that you faced because of making Sarafina and some of the whiplash that you received as a result.
It was a challenging time. You know, we had my company, Committed Artists, we had our offices just a stone throw away from John Foster Square. It was a perfect location because it was an old hotel, and I had all these young people from throughout the country who had auditioned, who were rehearsing there, staying there day and night. And I remember that we always had police and soldiers camping outside the building, and sometimes during our rehearsals the soldiers would come up the stairs and they would ask the kids what they were singing about. And I remember that one particular evening when they came and the cast started telling the soldiers that the song was about Brenda Fassie, when in fact the song was Afuna Namaphoyisa Soweto, which means what are the police doing in Soweto.
So you had to be very crafty with the truth there. You had to be very sneaky for the sake of your lives, in fact. But tell us what you hope to achieve by making Sarafina.
It was, Sarafina came to me at a special time. I was at Madiba's house in Orlando West with Mom Winnie Mandela. One afternoon, I used to visit her there, and she used to come and see my plays. Was Albert and Asina Mali during those days at the Market Theatre. And we used to just go and rally around her. And one afternoon, while we were talking, I asked her a question. I said, Mama Winnie, what do you think is going to happen finally in this country? Because people were dying every day in South Africa. the police were shooting everywhere, and we had a funeral every weekend all over South Africa in the townships. And Mom went in the tent and she looked at me and she said, you know, Mbongeni, to quote her exact words, she said, I wish I had a big blanket to cover the faces of the little ones so that they do not see the bitter end. And those words, as I drove off from her house, were ringing in my head, and I began to see images in my head of young people running in the streets and singing freedom songs. And that is what ignited the idea of Sarafina. I just wanted to tell the story of the young people of South Africa.
That is so profound indeed. Let's speak about Madiba, the man now, and your encounter with him, your conversations with him.
We've had many conversations, but I remember the first time after he had come out of prison, and I visited him at Orlando West at his home. And he came, I was sitting at a table and he shook my hand. I was with some of my American friends that had visited the country and that wanted to meet Madiba. Paul Marshall, who was an American attorney and entertainment lawyer, as well as Kenneth Gamble, who wrote all those and produced all those songs for the OJs, Teddy Pendergrass, and many artists. And he came to us and he shook my hand and he said, I'm so proud of your work. We have been talking about you while we were in prison, and we have been very moved by what you've done for the country. And I will never forget that. That was a special moment for me.
We'll have to leave it there for now. Legendary actor and playwright Mbongeni Ngema, just ahead of his time when it comes to Sarafina, and that prophetic moment when he predicted the release of Nelson Mandela at a time when hope definitely said contrary. It was to the contrary of that movie.